Welcome back, listeners, to the Steelers versus Lions post-game show being brought to you by the New Standard. Jumping on live. What do you know? We are doing a live game. We're starting the show a little bit early. We're starting it at the start of the fourth quarter. I just want to jump on it, and, so we can watch the game a little bit and jump into our comments about the game. If you want to participate in the program, please hit me with a like and a subscribe as we start to get to the regular season. The schedule, I believe, is going to be Tuesday. We're going to do a Tuesday show, which breaks down the upcoming show. We're going to do it Tuesday or Wednesday because we're going to talk about Mike Tomlin's press conference in that show. And, and also by the time we do it or Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll be able to talk about some injury stuff in that show. We're going to break down the upcoming game and we're going to give our final and closing thoughts of the previous game. Also, we are going to do a post-game show right after the Sunday, Monday, or Thursday ball game. And if we have Monday ball games and Thursday ball games, we'll update the schedule a little bit then, and we'll let you know what's going on at that time. Please give me a shout out, a like, and subscribe if you're on the program. Please hit us with some chat comments so we can jump into those. As we all well know, preseason is only 3 games now. 1 game has been cut, so this is the last look at guys that the coaches get to see before cut down comes, and the NFL season will be starting in 2 weeks. Big up to Big Kenneth KMJ in the place to be, a longtime DJ for Run DMC. You see how I just rhyme so effortlessly, just off the dome, off the top. Very interesting game. I think going into this game again, and we'll be putting this out on podcast as well. Again, thank you everybody for chiming in to the program and getting involved. Ken, if you have a question out there, please pop it to me. We're going to jump into my thoughts right now about the game as I watch the old quarterback hooker scramble in the pocket. Let's jump into the offense. A lot has been talked about Russell Wilson and the offensive line. I want to start with Russell Wilson's play. Didn't play much in this game, but what I did see and what we did see from Russell Wilson is very decisive, very decisive. Getting a team in and out of the huddle. Great throw to Pickett to convert, and they drove the ball down the field. The offense looked crisp. The offense looked very crisp. It looked like, dare I say, a professional offense. It looked crisp. They moved the ball down the field. Here's my one little knock on Russell Wilson. And I don't think it's just this year. I think this is something, when I mention it, is going to be something that I think he's dealt with his entire career. I think Russell Wilson, because of his height and because of his difficulty to see things, and because he has to take uh, deep drops that are deeper than a regular quarterback with standard quarterback height, I don't think he always throws with anticipation. Go back and look at the completion of George Pickens. And this is me being very fine with my criticism. I think if he throws that with a little more rhythm and anticipation, it gives George Pickens a little more time to turn up the field and get a little more yak. Those are just the small, finite details. If Russell Wilson is able to play like he did on this first series and pass pro hold up, and we'll talk a little bit more about the pass pro, Steeler fans will not be upset with what you saw on that play and in that drive. And Kenneth, I'm going to pop up your question and I'll jump into this after these comments about Justin Fields. And Justin Fields, I think, looked very well himself, acquitted himself very well. And I came up with a little rhyme to describe what I saw with Justin Fields. And it's simply, when the back foot hit, he let it rip. I think when you watch Justin Fields, he turns down some stuff that is obviously open. Big up to Big John Edbert from SF. My wife is a Niner fan. She is a member of the faithful from San Francisco. And I was excited because when the back foot hit, he let it rip. You also saw Arthur Smith dial into some quarterback run game, which you could see with Justin Fields. And it'll be interesting to see if Russell Wilson's calf, when it gets better, will they dig into some of the quarterback run game that Arthur Smith likes to do? Fields was decisive, and he just looked like he looked comfortable. He looked like he was going to rip it and let the results be the results. And if Justin Fields indeed is the guy at some point in this season, he has to play with better rhythm and timing um, from the pocket. Oh, and pick up the Steelers freak. Pick up the freak. I never know your real name, freak. J.E. in a place to be. Steelers F, the freaky MC. Um, and so I like to see that Jay Fields was playing with a little bit of rhythm and some timing. I liked he incorporated himself in the quarterback run game. Let me jump into this question from Kenneth McNair Jr., KMJ in the place to be. Do you think there was ever a QB competition? What are your thoughts after this showing? I think the national media had it absolutely incorrect. I don't think there was ever a quarterback competition. I don't think Tomlin ever alluded to the fact that there was one, and there isn't one. I thought Russell Wilson was always going to be the starter. And we talked about this on the last show in terms of how Tomlin, I think, is going to make the decision or made the decision as to who's going to be the starter. I think it's about who's going to protect the football and give him less volatility at the quarterback position. If you've ever coached, you've ever planned, ever done something, ever worked around anybody in any way, shape, or fashion, it's easier to plan and do things when you know you're going to get consistent behavior, whether it's good or bad. They know what they're going to get snap in, snap out from Russ. Now, the juice and the positive stuff that you can get from Justin Fields, the ceiling is much higher than Russ. However, I mean, the volatility is much higher as well. I mean, you're going to get slow and steady, ready, Freddie Eddie with Russ. He's going to miss some shit because he can't see it. He's going to hit some stuff. He's going to take some sacks. But what he's also going to do is he's not going to turn it over. What did you see with Justin Fields? Bad quarterback exchange again. Put the ball on the field again. And that's what Kenneth McNair said again. You know, and what's up with Fields and these mishandled snaps? That's 3-1 preseason. That's why Justin Fields, even if he ripped it up in preseason, is not going to start. I think this team, to be successful, has to win on the margins, and they can't turn the football over. They've got to get the ball, get extra possessions, and not turn it over. Again, you're checking out the new standard. Steelers versus Lions post-game show. Big up to everybody out there listening to the program. Big up to Big Neil. And Neil is not going to be on the show, unfortunately. Neil has got a lot of stuff going, but what we're going to do to incorporate Neil into the program, I'm going to print it out, hold up a picture of Neil, and have a conversation with Neil with his picks. Neil's going to give me his picks every week, and I'm going to talk to a picture of Neil, and we're going to go back and forth with picks. It's going to be kind of funny. Make sure you check it out. But Neil's going to give me his weekly picks and his weekly predictions, and I want you guys to do the same. So whether we do it on Tuesday or Wednesday, I'll let you guys know. I want you guys to hit the chat, hit the channel, hit us with your predictions, and we'll jump into your predictions as well. Want to jump into a comment from Laura Top Life. Big up to Laura, longtime listener. Expectations are low for the Steelers. 9-8 is my prediction. Let's just say this. And I've been challenged as the Detroit Lions score a touchdown. Congratulations to that young man. They take a lead. They're up 21-17, 2017. They haven't kicked the extra point. But I have been criticized for being too negative on this program. I have been challenged by my cousin Kamal Asar Williams Hampton to be more positive on this program. Let me ask you guys, have I been over the years too negative on this program? I think I have at certain times. I'm from Manchester. Sometimes I can be a curmudgeon. I'm getting older. They talk about how you get older. I'm middle aged now. Sometimes I can be a curmudgeon. I mean, it just happens. You get a little more salty as you get older. Mike said it right. That yes, I'm a little negative, but warranted. Um, Also, Kiddo said Lance is the true sadness to Jeff's joy. Yeah. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge myself to be more positive, to look at the glass being, what is it, half full versus half empty, and 9-8, half full. Here's what I think. And tell me if this is me being positive or negative. 9-8, I think, would be an excellent year for the Steelers. And that's not me readjusting the bar to settling for mediocrity and 7 seeds. I think the Steelers have been in a rebuild for the last few years. Unfortunately, in Pittsburgh, you can't be in a rebuild. I think when you're in a situation where you're bringing in a brand new quarterback room, you're going to have a significantly retooled offensive line. You need to discover who's going to be your number 2 wide receiver, and you have a new offensive coordinator. That's a lot of moving parts. That's a lot of different parts that have to get grease, have to get movement, have to get traction, has to learn how to play and communicate with each other, and more than anything, operate on Sundays. It's a lot. And let me just add this. Let me just sprinkle me, man. Sprinkle me, man. Let me add this to it. They're in possibly the toughest effing division in football with Burrow and Lamar Jackson. So be patient. If this offensive line, I like, Kenneth, you talked about Zach Frazier, and we're going to talk about Jack Frazier. I want to jump into that next. Be patient with this. If that offensive line at the end of the season is a cohesive unit and group, they're well on their way. The only issue with the Steelers moving forward in 2025 is the quarterback question has to get answered. Until that gets answered, they're in a rebuild. But if you build the foundation around the quarterback, you can be successful in this league. We've seen it already with Ben Roethlisberger. The foundation for the quarterback was there. He stepped in. They became successful. They still have to identify the guy at the quarterback position. And I think the development of the guy will be better with Arthur Smith as coordinator, a professional offensive coordinator, not someone like Matt Canada Dry. Let's jump into the comments about Zach Frazier. I thought Zach Frazier, again, was outstanding. Watch the combo blocking and the inside zone stuff. Go back and watch the play on the TD1 with Cordero Patterson. He is solid. He is one of them ones. And we've seen in the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers, the one thing that they have done, and my brother always, he's a Patriot fan, always messes with me about that, is that the Steelers have an uncanny ability to find wide receivers and develop centers. They find centers. I think Zach Frazier is going to be that next guy. He's going to be that next guy after Pouncey. The blocking on that play, like Kenneth said, was absolutely crazy. And I encourage you to do the same thing that Kenneth did. Go back and watch that play several times. Let me jump into the comments from JE Steelers. Freaky. 9-8 with a possible playoff win is doable. That written, they can improve as a team while having a rough record at the same time. I believe the franchise QB isn't on the team. I don't think the franchise QB is on the team either. Unless they can somehow get Justin Fields to play consistently with rhythm and timing. And that is going to be the challenge. And I think they are going to give him a year-long eval to see if he's that guy. And thank you for your service, Steeler Freaky, if that is you in the picture. Thank you for all the vets out there also. And I want to dedicate this show to the memory of my father-in-law, David Adams. I want to dedicate this show to him. Veteran, served this country well, Vietnam vet. Want to dedicate this program and show to him. And also want to send my best to my wife, my granddaughters, for the loss of their grandfather, David Adams. Great guy. Again, condolences, thoughts, and prayers go out to the family. And thank you guys for rocking with me in the show, in this tough time. Zach Frazier, outstanding. I thought the inside zone game was tough. The running game popped. I think there's a lot to take to be encouraged with in this particular game, particularly with Brojo. And Brojo had a tough game last week. Very tough game last week. But I thought he acquitted himself well and played a very solid game and looked solid in pass pro. Adversity is going to hit you in life when you compete in anything, in your job, in all situations. And reports are he's playing through some injury stuff and that, he had some adversity. He had some adversity. He was getting his ass whooped in the last game. I mean, he was getting his ass absolutely fried. And sometimes, like Trey Essex said, young players, veteran players, you have a bad one. And unfortunately for pro athletes and for football players, especially somebody, a first-round draft pick on a team like the Steelers, everybody gets to see you mess up. And he had one of them games. I loved his comments after the game, put it on himself, made no excuses, and just said flat out, I got to get better. And he's going to get better. His athleticism in the run game is going to be awesome. We'll say this. It is going to be a test of patience for Steeler fans watching two young guys at tackle. And this is what we're also going to do on Wednesday. We're going to do a true and false segment. I love doing true and false segments. And I'm going to give you one of them that I was going to do on Wednesday, but I'm going to preview it now before we jump into the defensive side of football. True or false? Dan Moore starts 12 games. I want you to think about it. And thank you, Laura, for your condolences. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, definitely. True or false? Does Dan Moore start 12 games? Think about it. That's the type of true and false stuff we're going to do on Wednesday's program. I'm not going to jump into it. I just want to tease you guys a little bit, give you a little flavor of what we're going to talk about on Wednesday. So just think about it. Think about that. And because I'm going to challenge you guys. I'm going to challenge both sides. I want you to challenge what I'm thinking about in terms of my answers, in terms of true and false. But that's what we're going to jump into. On a defensive side of football, I'm just going to say this. Lil Herbig, hey, man. Lil Herbig, that guy is flashing. He is flashing lights. He's getting his Kanye on. He is flashing, absolutely flashing. I think they found one. Now, I'm not going to dig into and buy into some of the national media hype or nonsense talking about trading TJ Watt. Never. Come on, man. No, come on, get out of here. But I'm going to say this: Nate Herbig continues to make plays and continues to flash. Big up to you, KMJ, and the place to be, DJ for Run DMC, for the $5 contribution to the program. Thank you, my brother. In Cali, that'll buy me a little bit of gas. I appreciate it. Everything is needed to continue to contribute to this program. Also, one thing I was going to say was, and I had forgotten it, and it was lost on me. This is my 20th year doing this show. I started, well, this would be like, yeah, I started in 2004, 2005. This will be my 20th year. And you know what happened 20 years ago? The Steelers won a Super Bowl in 2004, 2005. So I'm excited to continue to be able to bring you this content, and you guys continue to give me positive feedback. Please continue to like and subscribe to the program. In fact, hit me with the like right now. Please send the like out. I agree again with Kenneth Nair Jr. Herbig is super explosive. And talking about explosiveness, Kyron Johnson, and you are correct, Mike Wolf. Jeff used to do the show with me, not the other way around. I'm Jeff's sensei, and he'll tell you that. I am Jeff's sensei. Jeff's a good guy. They do solid stuff. In fact, me and Jeff are teasing around some prediction stuff. We'll see. We'll let you know. But I am Jeff's sensei. Yes. In podcast Kung Fu, Steeler style. Anyway, Kyron Johnson, number 53. I was watching because sometimes in preseason, I don't know everybody. I don't know I'm not trying to memorize the roster. I mean, I got other stuff to do. I mean, I'm not trying to memorize the roster. So when I looked at 53, I'm sitting in my living room watching this quick, twitchy dude just run around cats. And I'm like, who that? Who that? Who them? Who that? And Kyron Johnson is something. I think they might have found at least a guy that they got to kick the tires with. So when cuts come out very soon, they got to keep him. We're going to talk about cuts on Wednesday as well. Who makes the final 53, or is maybe the 55 now? I think they added a couple roster spots. He flashed. His RAS is 8.59, which is green tier. But the thing about his RAS score, as I'm looking at his RAS now, and I'll post a link to his RAS score, is the only reason why his RAS score was 8.59, which is still green, which is still elite, is just that he's not a big guy. He's not really a strong guy. He's only about 6 feet, 231, only benched 16 times, but his 40 is elite at 9.98 in RAS, which is 4.4. His 4.4, he was elite. His 20-yard split and his 10-yard split are absolutely elite, and his vertical is elite. All those measurables are above 9.8, and his 3-cone was 8.9. So you're getting a very twitchy athlete when you're talking about this kid. And this is a guy that I think they need to kick the tires on continually. Before we get out of here, and thanks, Mike Wolf. Nobody's really asked me that question, but I'm not saying anything that's out of school about my relationship with Jeff. He'll tell you I'm his sensei, and that I helped Jeff a lot in the beginning, but Jeff does a fantastic job. But I served as some of his foundation. But he serves, I give Jeff a ton of credit because he's built a solid network, does solid work, and continues to put a lot of time and effort into the stuff. And, he's taken a little bit that I've given him and he's run with it. So congratulations to those guys, Dave Schofield, all those guys over there. Before we get out of here, nickel cornerback. It was good to see the criminal pick off a pass. Sorry, I can't get that guy no breaks. If what Cam Sutton did is true, Now he's a bad guy. Good to see him make a play with the pick. Question for you guys, though. Who is the Steelers' nickel corner? When Terrell Austin was asked earlier this week, he said, I don't know. We ain't got one. Going into this season, that's my biggest question one of my big questions on a defensive side of football. How's that number 2 cornerback position going to emerge? Who's going to play that slot guy? And, what's the safety rotation? The questions on this defense to me are in the secondary, but we almost got real football. Real football is coming 2 weeks out. The new standard is back better than ever. And I'm excited for it. I think the building blocks of this team are in place, especially if this offensive line with these young guys come out and perform. Then you will have the foundation for a solid offensive football team for years to come. But with that, we're going to conclude the show. Again, thank you, everybody. Big up to Kenneth McNair Jr. Thank you for the contribution. Thank you, Laura Top Life, for the kind words. Big up to Mike Wolf and everybody else. Super Steeler Freaky. Big up to you, and big up to everybody who listens and contributes to the program. Again, please like and subscribe. Share it with everybody. And with that, big up to Ali Howard, Species 5618. We're going to get out of here. And as always, tune in, tell a friend, and subscribe. Go Steelers.